In Bangladesh alone, out of our 500 employees, we have 370 as we speak. A lot of engineers from the different universities, also from UIU professor. So some of your students are also working at Celis, so that's it's really great to have you here. And yes, at Celis we build all kinds of projects, and we have a very strong blockchain team as well, which we actually started about a year ago. And what we do there is we work for various projects in the DeFi and GameFi space. We do smart contract auditing, we do game logic development, we do things like we create tokens, we create NFTs, NFT marketplaces, we do we bridge between some of the big public networks. We have like bridging projects where we move one token or different types of tokens from one chain to the other. We set up private blockchains as well. And yes, and on top of that, we are partners of the Phantom Foundation. Phantom is a new up-and-coming public blockchain. They use a very interesting new technology called ABFT, which allows blockchain really to do high-performance transactions at a fraction of the cost of typical other chains. Like a fraction of the gas fees are consumed to do these transactions. So we're partners of the Phantom Foundation, and we also engage with them in topics like central bank digital currency, and are actively in contact with various governments, specifically also in South Asia. So we do have quite a bit of exposure there, and I specifically, being the CEO of the entire group of companies, I have a specific personal interest and focus on building this blockchain capability out of Bangladesh for Celis. So yeah, it took me a little bit longer, but I think, yeah.
Okay, so just I forgot maybe to introduce myself. So my name is Salikul Islam, and I'm working as a professor and also the department head of Computer Science and Engineering Department from United International University. And my research area is like related to cloud computing and cryptography, network security, and obviously right now blockchain. So I'm here. Okay, so my okay. So right now I am inviting Mr. Walid Zaman, so to say a few things. Can we connect with him?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Walid Zaman here. Thanks for inviting me to this very important panel discussion, and also a very important organization that is helping promote the blockchain needs of the country and the education of the blockchain in the country. I'm actually dialing in from New York City. I'm in the US right now. It's early in the morning, around 5:30 a.m. Very excited to be a part of this panel. I'm working for a company called GSR right now. I work in the business development side of things. We are basically a market maker, one of the top market makers in the industry, which means that we are basically allowing efficient liquidity to flow through the different exchanges that operate not only on the centralized exchanges, but also these decentralized exchanges. What that means is when projects, for instance, some of the names that I can disclose, like Dapper Labs or Filecoin, some of our clients, they come to us and they want frictionless, efficient markets to be made in exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, KuCoin, Gate, all the big tier ones, tier twos that you can think of. We're the ones that have a good group of quant traders and market making engines that are allowing people to trade very efficiently with low spreads, good order book depth. On top of that, we're also an OTC trading firm. We specialize in different kinds of liquidation strategies for founders, for institutional players coming into the space, and also for retail investors. And we also provide option strategies on many different altcoins in addition to BTC and ETH. We also have a venture arm, so we have been investing very strategically in different projects around the world, in different emerging markets as well, which has been great to see how GSR has been involved to help emerging markets grow by investing in whether it's an infrastructure project, whether it's a DeFi project, or in some other ecosystem in the industry. Plus, we have a mining operation, and we're also building up an asset management firm. Our firm is very global. We have about 250 employees, over 250 employees globally, with main locations around Singapore, London, and New York City. We have a small office in Switzerland. And with Julian here, he works for a Swiss company. So yeah, we also have a Swiss office as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and GSR.
Hello. Yeah. So hopefully we have Mr. Arjit by this time.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me into this panel. So to introduce myself, my name is Arijit Chakraborty. I'm a partner with PwC, and my area of focus is technology consulting. At Dhaka, we also have an office where we have nearly 100 staff operating in various disciplines. And our primary focus is to solve the business problems where blockchain technology or any other emerging technology can play a role. About 5 years ago, I incubated the blockchain laboratory and started with a small team, which eventually grew in number. And also we did quite a few projects in blockchain implementation, primarily in the area of distributed applications. In last 2 years, we also had the privilege to work with Bcolbd to kind of mentor the team from Bangladesh when they were preparing for the International Blockchain Olympiad with respect to how to prepare a prototype, how to demonstrate prototype, how to make a prototype very sharp with respect to the use cases. So overall, it has been a fantastic journey with blockchain and the uses of blockchain in various fields, starting from crypto to other distributed applications. Thank you very much for having me once again. Over to you.
Okay. So just stay with us. Okay. So
Yes.
now maybe we can like go into deep to the topic or the title of our seminar, mainly the crypto adoption. So I would like to start with Misha. You said that like maybe you have some plan for Bangladesh.
Hello. Yeah. So I'd just like to take a step back and talk about, what is a cryptocurrency? Now, many people see it as a method of payment, and it is that. But we also see it now as a store of value or an appreciating asset. And that's kind of how I want to frame the conversation, because in Bangladesh today, if you're myself or even one of the members of the audience, or at a point where inflation is around 7% a year, how many assets do you really have that you can put your money in? And over, let's say, 3 to 5 years, the value of those assets will stay ahead of inflation. I actually did a survey with some younger people from my work, and not a lot of them were in the stock market. In fact, none of them were in the stock market. None of them had fixed deposits. None of them owned any real estate. So what that means is the number of assets that we can actually invest in and expect that over the course of our working lifetime, they will appreciate to the point where we will be able to build wealth. Those are very limited here in Bangladesh for most of us, right? For people who want to invest, let's say 20,000 taka a month or 1 lakh taka a month, there's not a lot you can do with that. So how I think what we want to offer here and around the world is a class of assets that is more suited to a younger population, which is very well versed in technology, and B, which we believe has a sound, let's say, fundamental technological basis where adoption is going to increase and these assets are going to appreciate in the course of the next decade. So if you look at emerging markets today, markets other than Bangladesh, like India, Indonesia. In Indonesia, you have around 40 million crypto users or crypto owners. Whereas you have in that market around 2.5 or 3 million users who are in the stock market. So if you rewind to even 2 years ago, that number was very, very different. It was probably equal, right? But in the last 2 years, crypto adoption has skyrocketed. In Indonesia, where now every day $1 billion of trading volume is done. In Pakistan, already one of the top 3 countries in the world as far as crypto adoption. We have about 10 million users, about let's say $500 million market a year. In India, very similar. And in Bangladesh, though, I would say our adoption is at a much earlier stage, a stage 0, rather than even a stage 1 right now, our adoption. Because there is a stigma, there is a legality around cryptocurrencies, or an illegality that I think prevents most of the people in our country, or young people like you, from even exploring this asset class as a viable alternative to the others I just mentioned. So with that, I'll just go.
I have some questions. How their government is regulating, say, Indonesia or Pakistan or India? Maybe we can.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great question. So with different countries, it's being done in a different way. So I'll look at the 3 that you just mentioned. Now, out of those 3, the government that's really taken the lead on crypto regulation out of the 3 countries that you mentioned, Indonesia, India, and Pakistan, is Indonesia. There are 8 licensed exchanges now in Indonesia, and there have been for the last 2 or 3 years, 5 years maybe. And there's a very set process on how to obtain a license to be a regulated cryptocurrency exchange in Indonesia through their regulatory bodies, whether that's the SEC or whether that's the Commerce Ministry. So you can go apply, and within 3 to 6 months, as long as you fulfill all of the requirements, technological requirements, the business requirements, you will be given a crypto license. And that's why we see adoption is so great in Indonesia. On the other side, in Pakistan still today, there is no real regulation around cryptocurrencies. So what you have is a gray market similar to Bangladesh, but because in Pakistan, for whatever reasons, maybe it's less central, like currency controls, maybe they don't have such strong process in place, more people are willing to take a dive into cryptocurrencies. So there's no regulation, but regulation, they're thinking about formulating regulation, and we're also there, as a private entity, but also as a proponent of blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies to help formulate that policy. In India, which is kind of the middle of the 2, there was a big confusion about whether cryptocurrencies were going to be banned all through 2021. The news was coming out, banned next week, And so what ended up happening is still a gray area, but their NBR, their tax authorities, have now put a 30% tax on capital gains from cryptocurrencies. So what does that mean? Where in other markets, or even for other asset classes, maybe you pay 10% or 20% tax, they're overtaxing cryptocurrencies to this point where all of the crypto companies in India are moving their headquarters to places like Dubai, where they can operate tax-free. And that's now becoming a hindrance for them, not only from a tax perspective, but also from a talent perspective. When everyone who wants to work in blockchain in India, and I have friends who have been telling me for the last 6 months, I have already moved all my businesses and everything to Dubai because the government is not supportive of cryptocurrencies in India. When you have a huge, and India has a huge, let's say, engineering base of probably hundreds of thousands of engineers, tens of thousands of blockchain engineers, and they're all going to now be moving to Dubai because they don't feel that they have the opportunities in their own country. So I think that gives you an idea of the different.
Okay, so our other panel speakers, if you want to add something. Maybe Julian, then we can go to our remote speakers.
Yeah, I think to understand this question,
take it closer.
understand this question a bit better, it is important to understand, I think, how the governments work in these different places. I think you can typically see like countries like Indonesia, Pakistan, they have been much more open on the international capital market regardless, even without crypto. So they have been borrowing and lending money overseas in US dollars, and they were very much used to it. They have a problem right now. They have a problem in this regards from a government's perspective. However, because we hear it, we read it, like how several developing countries are now like at the brink of bankruptcy. And that is also in Sri Lanka, for example. I don't know if you have the numbers about Sri Lanka, but I believe once governments are in a spot where they cannot operate much anymore, like they cannot deploy funds and sort of interfere in local industries, when they're at this point, they don't care as much. That's my hypothesis to this. So they do not care as much because at the same time, of course, these new technologies, cryptocurrency will again bring a massive boost to their economy. So they will trade off and say, okay, fine, then I let my population fully engage with cryptocurrencies that I can control less. I can actually still control it. I mean, there is a lot of tax regulation nowadays, and it's actually much easier to take someone's tax from capital gain than capital gains tax from crypto than from anything else, because everything is on the blockchain, right? You only need to know their public ID, and you will figure out like what transactions they've done and what is in there. So from that standpoint, it's actually even easier and better for governments. And yeah, I think Indonesia has been at the forefront for a very long time. We know that. We have always seen, and we were impressed by Indonesia, how much has happened. They had more transactions on their crypto exchange than on their stock exchange already 2 years ago.
Do they have any currency by their own? Or?
No, they do not. I don't. Well, they probably have. I mean, there is a lot of projects, and projects usually come with a currency. What they have in Indonesia, what's very interesting, they have this national or blockchain, which is kind of, it's not a proof of authority blockchain. It's not a blockchain that belongs to the banks and only the banks have access. It's a real public blockchain made and ran by Indonesian companies. That's basically runs on the EVM technology, probably even a GET client, which is sort of an Ethereum implementation.
So you mean it's much transparent, like?
They have that, and it's very transparent. Yeah, the whole thing is very transparent, and they're benefiting from it right now. And I highly encourage Bangladesh to take this leap as well and go with people like Misha with Facet into this industry in a controlled manner. So it will be like very, very beneficial for the country as a whole.
Okay, so Walid, you are there, right? Walid?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so would you like to add something? Like we are discussing about the government regulations in terms of adoption.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a very important topic, and this is something that we deal with working in the industry on a daily basis with, different firms that we interact with, different government jurisdictions that we interact with, because we are involved in many different jurisdictions around the world. As a part of GSR, I'll just tell you a little bit about how we see it. Our company, we want to see more good actors coming to the space and thought leaders coming to the space for well thought out policy and regulation. We welcome that. We want to work with new leaders who are promoting like better education in the industry, more well thought out regulation, and I know it's a very nascent industry. It's in infancy, but like Misha said, education is very important here. One part of the blockchain industry is the cryptocurrency, but then there is also the technology behind it. For instance, one of the stances a lot of people that I interact with take is that someday all assets will be digital assets, simply because it's more transparent, like the other panel speakers here mentioned. It's more efficient. It allows for a 24/7 functioning market. It eliminates the need for a lot of intermediaries, which obviously removes a lot of value or waste that was created in the process. So that's one instance that we take. Also, Julian mentioned about taxes in general getting paid in cryptocurrency. Actually, recently there was a news out of Colorado that they're piloting a project there where taxes will be taken in BTC. That's very interesting to see that it's happening in different states in the U.S. as well. Um, just going a little bit further into just the global adoption. There was a report by Chain Analysis last year. I think Visha and Julian and the others might have already seen it. What was interesting over there was that the report basically looked at how much adoption happened in different emerging markets, and it ranked Vietnam, India, and Pakistan as the top three, which was interesting, followed by Ukraine, Kenya, Nigeria, and Venezuela. The most interesting thing out of this is that 19 out of the top 20 countries were in the developing world, um, where worldwide adoption jumped up around 880% especially between peer-to-peer platforms. The only exception in the list was the US, which came in at number 8. Um, and yeah, there was another very interesting development recently where there was a panel in Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. And over there was a very important topic that was discussed in a panel with Jeremy Allaire, who's the CEO of Circle, USDC, as a lot of people might know it, one of the top stable coins in the industry. And also Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple Labs, which has been a big player in the industry since 2014, one of the early adopters of crypto and a big payments rail basically for the industry. And over there, one of the other panel members was Asif Saleh from BRAC, and it was great to see how Bangladesh is getting involved in discussions like this. The topic was mainly around remittances, but many other different things were involved in discussed including stable coins, which is a very important topic. Recently, I saw Japan passed a policy to basically regulate stable coins, meaning they will be considering it as digital money, which can lead to further implementation and adoption in the country there. Um, yeah, and GSR as a firm, we have been investing not only in projects around the world, but more into the infrastructure and the better education of crypto and blockchain in general, so that in the future everybody has a better idea of it, and we can all work hand in hand with governments and different regulators and bodies in the different regions to promote the industry.
Okay, thank you. So, Arjit, you are here, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so about the government regulations, would you like to add something?
Yes. So I think my earlier speakers already highlighted some of the applicability of crypto. Particularly, Misha told about like a store of value versus medium of exchange. Now, what happens like when we look into these two attributes of any crypto, I mean, both as an asset as well as a medium of exchange, there are three factors that come into it. I mean, the first one is, of course, I mean, the efficiency of the marketplace. I mean, right now, when so many operators are coming up with different kind of exchanges and different types of cryptos as a exchange medium as well as an asset, efficiency of transactions and the efficiency of recognizing the value of a digital asset, I mean, that certainly is going manifold. But at the same time, there are imperfections of the marketplace. And that's why it calls for regulations. I mean, any market without regulation is bound to, I think, have significant and severe impact on the common people. So there, I think two types of regulators that are coming in. I mean, one, of course, the revenue department, who always are suspicious, like whether any additional taxes that may get lost out. For example, if a crypto platform allows two individuals to exchange value, or a buy or selling of goods and services, how the taxes will be calculated, how the taxes will be paid. Because in any country, the government will accept tax only through the medium of their currency, not necessarily through the crypto. So how you pay taxes when you do transactions using crypto? I mean, that's one area of big discussion around the world. The second element is, I mean, when it is a store of value, how the value gets appreciated, how it is getting recognized, how the market is supporting the recognition of value through appropriate liquidity, and more importantly, how the market is
Okay, so
those questions need to be answered. Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, now yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, please.
Okay. So I think some of those critical questions that need to be answered to address the imperfections of the marketplace, and that's why the regulatory landscape come into the picture. The third attribute that is also very important is the competition. Competition makes the crypto more efficient, the marketplace more efficient, but also, I mean, how many cryptos are too many for a single market? I mean, we have seen the markets converging when it comes to the traditional industries like telecom. Whether we are also going to see there will be only three big players in the marketplace as a crypto operators, and how that is going to kind of pan out so that the general investors don't lose out. I think that's another question that we need to address. Overall, I think everybody, including the governments and regulators, have understood that crypto and blockchain technology is a force whose time has arrived. So it's not, nobody is really talking today to prevent that, but everybody is talking about how to regulate it so that the common interests are protected. And that's where I think some of those critical questions come into the picture. One answer could be CBDC, where the central bank will issue its own currency, and then that will be kind of a sovereign guarantee carrier. But then whether it will be still as efficient as some of the publicly operated currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, that's another question to address. In the last 1 year, we have seen two nations have recognized Bitcoin as their official currency. I think Central African Republic and El Salvador. It's yet to see like how successful they are, but I think these are interesting space to watch. Over to you.
Thank you. So one thing I hello hello
Hello, hello.
Okay, so one thing I would like to mention that in our country, like we welcome blockchain. Okay, definitely. Otherwise, like there is like so enthusiasm and so many teams and participating, and like it's a huge program. We can easily understand, and we also have a national blockchain policy. Okay, so we welcome blockchain in our country, but we have some perception, like kind of stigma, like what Misha just said, like crypto will create some problems here. Maybe crypto will create some doors for money laundering, or maybe something that government cannot regulate, something like that. But from our discussion, we can see that even some countries from Africa, like who are not that much developed, if we compare with us in terms of technology, they are welcoming crypto. So my question will be to our speakers, how we can break this stigma, or how we can educate our government, like so that they also welcome cryptocurrency.
I think it's very important to understand for the governments where we currently stand. Like what I often realize is that people still think of blockchain like Bitcoin, like that basic initial distributed ledger where I have information shared across certain participants, etc. And it's a very academic, at a very raw place, the understanding. We are saying today, we're talking about the third generation of blockchains and blockchain applications, where, for example, the thing that I have mentioned before, text collection is very easy. Like I only need to have the disclosure of the public key of the account of the person using the blockchain. They can have multiple of them. I just need to put in this public key and it will calculate everything automatically, because I can scan all these big networks that carry tokens. And I can do that in a fully automated way, and I can track everything that I want through this. And there are these applications already. For example, in the United States, there is a project where that is actually even endorsed by the IRS to use it to fill out your tax statement to generate the report at the end of the year. But these types of these things, the ability of these blockchains, also the fact that there are many platforms that cost much less gas than Ethereum. There's still this idea in people's mind that, oh, blockchain is expensive, it's inefficient, it's not scalable. There's a multitude of scaling solutions on the layer 1, like at the base layer of the technology, but then there are also these layer 2 solutions, like zero knowledge proof, roll-ups that are running on top of the blockchain, of a certain blockchain, and then are feeding data back into the blockchain at a certain interval, or at certain times, or based on certain conditions. And all of these things are there. And I think what we have to do is we have to keep educating the governments. And I realized this when recently we spoke to a central bank of a middle-income country, and we basically explained and showed them a prototype of how all of this works and how all of this plays together. And they were amazed. They were saying, okay, that's completely, like, it's beyond their expectations. And I think if we do this, it will very soon also lead to a shift in mindset in Bangladesh, to speak about like this jurisdiction here, since we are here at the Blockchain Olympiad, which is, by the way, an amazing institution, and I'm very glad that this is being organized for so many years now by Professor Habibullah and the ICT Ministry and everyone who is involved. So, yeah, great thing. So maybe the colleagues online want to add something more to it?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to add a little bit here, and I totally echo everything that Julian said. Number one, like touching on the point that, yeah, I mean, there's a need to really understand this fragmented industry. There's like many different components here. You know, like a lot of people, new adopters or new people who are coming in the industry, they see the word cryptocurrency and then they just think of it as a currency or a token, but really there are so many other components that go into this. For instance, just taking smart contracts as one of the key innovations from this space. I mean, that has the potential to be used in so many different applications, from, you know, like Julia mentioned, in tax audits to KYC to just real estate or any kind of supply chains where you are literally trusting the code. The code is doing the work, and it's transparent, it's decentralized, and not saying that it's there yet. Yes, a lot of new developments are happening, like Julian mentioned, the layer twos. There's so many new layer twos coming into the market, and each trying to learn from the past mistakes of others and improving on it. For instance, like Polygon is one of the top layer twos, and now we're seeing other zero knowledge low rollups like Arbitrum and Optimism coming into the space, who are also promoting very new and innovative technologies. Just to kind of touch on the question of how we're seeing, you know, adoption and education being basically disseminated to the world. For instance, GSR, we have a CSR arm, a corporate social responsibility arm, where we have been investing in different regions to promote education really for the younger generation. Just to give you a context, we work with MIT Solve, which is a big organization in the United States, part of the MIT University, that we sponsor an annual program every year where new projects are submitted, and it's really, really amazing to see how many new and young people are coming to the space with very intricate, well thought out projects, and we're playing our part to support those. Plus, we also have some support for organizations around the world, such as Girls for a Change, which is a global organization based out of countries like Spain, I believe Nigeria, Mexico, Brazil, Cambodia, to name a few, where we're kind of helping those regions support the education in blockchain for women, supporting the different initiatives that are happening in this country, in those countries. Also, there's another organization called Taki in Lebanon and Jordan that we have been also involved with. Viziola Foundation in Africa, and also Daughters of Tomorrow in Singapore. So these organizations, they do many different things, not just on the blockchain side, but just in general on the tech side to really educate the younger generation, and also to help them prepare for their career and to like get step into the workforce. So that's very interesting to me to see these kind of contributions that we are making, which really leads to a change for the future.
Okay, so Misha, like what Julian said, like my question was how we can break the stigma or educate the government. So,
Sure. I think everybody's talking about a very similar theme, which is education, right? And when we look at education on cryptocurrencies and blockchain, there's two sides of it. There's one, education of the public, the people like you and me, and two, education of the government. Now, if we look at the first, let's talk about education of the government first. I think there are very valid fears that cryptocurrency will be used for capital flight, for illegal purposes. And when you look at cryptocurrency adoption in Bangladesh today, probably 99% of the people using cryptos on a regular basis are doing illegal activities, such as capital flight or money laundering. But if you look at crypto outside Bangladesh, where there is a vast crypto adoption, probably 99% of crypto users are doing legal things with it, and less than 1%, less than 0.5% probably, are still using crypto for illegal purposes. So that's number one. Can we bring crypto into a place where we are regulating it and we actually monitor it for illegal activities and we stop those activities? There are companies out there that are offering these kinds of services like Chainalysis, where they actually monitor crypto for illegal activities, create lists of red flagged addresses, and when those addresses show up in transactions, they're automatically blocked. There's other instances I could say of very similar things, but I think, so that's one side of it, right? But when we look at money laundering and capital flight today, the elephant in the room to me is not cryptocurrencies. The elephant in the room is cash. If you look at money laundering in Bangladesh today, the cash money laundering is probably 200, 300 times the size of crypto money laundering. So what does that do? I mean, the people, at the end of the day, they don't want us to go to cryptocurrencies because that would actually increase the visibility and transparency of money laundering and reduce money laundering. So those are, I think, kind of the forces that we work against, the criminal elements in society who want the current system to stay in place. And that's why I think adoption here on the government level and on the private level also is very slow. Now I'll move to the second part of what I wanted to say about education of the public. Now what happens, I think this is the key, right? When we go to school here in Bangladesh or anywhere in the world, fiscal responsibility, how to, let's say, be responsible with your money, how to build wealth over your lifetime. These things are not taught, but these are one of the most important lessons that any of us can learn. That how do I, over the course of my career, build my wealth and not just through my salaried job. Will translate into the government sector as well, because the government is, at the end of the day, it's there to work for the people. And when the people want something, then the government will eventually adopt.
okay. So Arijit, you are here, right? Arjit, can you hear us?
No, he disappeared.
Okay.
Let's questioning the audience.
Yeah, but before going to audience, I have a question to Misha, because he said that we can consider it as an asset, right? You said that an asset.
May I just add a few points?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think one of the points pertaining to your question, what should be done or what would have been done is, of course, awareness development across stakeholders are important. But also it's important to address some of the questions that regulators or central bankers may be having. For example, today when we talk about Dhaka, central bankers know how they can work on inflation targeting by tweaking or changing various parameters from time to time. If a digital currency comes into the picture, what should be the mechanism? I think a simple answer could be algorithm. But then what are the levers of that algorithm should be there in the hands of the central bankers so that they can also kind of provide the same kind of sovereign guarantee that the Dhaka provides today. I think that's one of the questions that we need to address while bringing awareness to stakeholders across the board. And one way to do that would have been like setting up a center of excellence under the supervision of LICT, Emerging Technologies, or maybe under ICT, and then kind of do some rapid prototype, which are pretty local to the Bangladesh context, addressing some of the problems or some of the benefits that can be realized through those crypto. And then over a period of time, win confidence of all the stakeholders. I think that would be a steady approach to kind of increase the awareness and then making the path of crypto adoption far more smooth and less impactful. Over to you, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so now, Misha, I had a question because when you were mentioning that about asset, like it came to my mind because these days we see that, say, for example, Bitcoin, it's going up and then it's like going down so like easily, like I can invest and then maybe in the morning I can see that, okay, I have lost $1,000. So why should I invest then?
I think nobody should invest in anything for the short term. That's my short answer. When you think of investment, I think of a 5-year, 10-year range, whether it's stocks, real estate, whatever it is, you should be in it for the long term. If you look at crypto in the last 10 years, if we take the same amount of time, you're looking at, I don't know how many 100,000% of appreciation in that time. So yes, we're definitely in a bear market now. I think both Julian and I and many of the panelists are probably feeling that. But when I look at it, I've only been in crypto for 1.5 years. But when I got into it, I was like, okay, I believe in the underlying technology. I believe in the mission. And I'm going to invest for the long term. So if you're a day trader, or if you're going into any asset with the with the idea that within 6 months I'm going to become a millionaire, then honestly, you deserve to lose your money. You should be in there for at least 3 to 5 years minimum. That's my view. And it's a very volatile technology. Of course, initially it's going to be very volatile.
Sorry, I have to add something to this. This is, of course, one aspect of investing or treating it as an asset is to assume appreciation of value, right? But there are also other ways of investing, and they are all there in front of our eyes, one click away. And that is, for example, you can do yield farming with stable coins, right? What is that? You can provide your stable coins, which are pegged to a stable currency or to something like gold. You can take them and you can basically provide them to someone else to do certain things with it. The very basic concept, which is there and which is quite popular nowadays in the decentralized finance space, is just borrowing and lending, right? You can, if you don't need your funds, you can provide them into certain vaults or pools that are then lending them again to other users who might have an interest to do something else with it. The same accounts for borrowing, by the way, but now we're talking about investment, treating them as assets. And you can have your percentage on that because you're providing liquidity to someone. The original idea of this, I try to explain this a bit in a more abstract way, is really to put your money at work, right? The most common one right now when I say yield farming, people think about automated market makers, where I give a pair of currencies into a smart contract, and that smart contract will collect the same pair of currencies from other people as well, and then let, again, a third party do trading, like a stock exchange. Like you can completely simulate the stock exchange decentrally with smart contracts, like Wally has mentioned before as well. So, so there are ways to put your money at work, like really, really important. And you don't need to have 100%. You can have 5% per year, 7, 8, 9, 10% against a stable thing like gold or US dollar or euros, right? So that there is way to gain there are many, many other ways as well. I don't want to go too much into those now because it's going to get too boring. I think, Professor, if you allow us, I think we should open up to the audience, make this a little bit more interactive. We discussed a few topics, and I think the main topic is really like how to make the whole thing more adopted, or make the whole thing more, I mean, we were talking about adoption, but how to make the policymakers, people in the government, understand more what they can do with it and what they're actually losing out on because they're completely out-regulating it. So do you guys have any ideas of things we haven't discussed yet? Is there someone who has a brilliant idea that really should be discussed?
Yeah, before we go into the audience, if it's okay, I just want to also add a couple of very quick points.
Sure.
Definitely agree with everything that Julian and Misha mentioned here. Yes, I mean, it is a very volatile asset class, as we know, but also if you see the volatility of ETH and BTC over the last few years, it has come down. I mean, it has come down, and it will start stabilizing at some point as well. I also wanted to address the idea of the bear market. Yes, we are in a bear market, and this is a cycle I'm sure Misha and Julian have seen before. And this time, the bear market feels like a good opportunity to kind of lean the fat in the industry, as many of us say. There are a lot of bad actors in the space. There are a lot of inefficient projects that are operating in space, and it might be a good time for them to realize that that's not the space that they need to be operating in, and for better, more integrity-based, more principle-based players kind of emerging in this. And it also gives new retail investors, new institutional investors to get a chance to participate in the space again. So I just wanted to quickly add a few points about that.
Okay, so I think we can open some comments or questions from our audiences. So you can just raise your hand, and we have a mic. I guess we have a mic here. Hopefully you are not sleeping. No, sometimes like discussion becomes too technical, I know, okay. We need good ideas. Like if you want to supplement something or any ideas, like remember that we are discussing about the crypto adoption, okay? Yes.
Hello, this is Rahul Amin from Ira Infotech Limited.
Little bit louder.
This is Rahul Amin from Ira Infotech Limited. I'm a senior software engineer. So there is a issue we just learned from the newspaper. So some newspaper says should be regulated. So if something came new to the country, to the world, so the first thing came to the government, or the regulator, that it should be regulated. So this is the thing that should be wiped out from the mind before, because the education. So this is the thing that should be integrated in the education system. So most like in the university, we have done nothing. So for the business students, they learn business thing. For the engineering student, they learn only engineering thing. So when they go to the regulatory body, so they doesn't think the another view of the businessman, how they want to business. So there is a way of so much learning method, learning thing. If in this industry we want to have some information, so we need actually we need a concrete information about how blockchain works. So this is the thing we don't know. Actually, in the student and the policymaker, we don't see any visual things, how blockchain works. So if it is open to all of the stakeholder, so it will be easy to understand, and they will think about regulating.
So you mean like we should come out from tunnel vision, right?
Yeah, that's a very, very good input. If I may ask, what kind of development are you doing on blockchain?
We are working on banking blockchain level. So actually, I'm not in that project, but I have interest. So we learned something about. So you know about delivery system. So it's the Daraz, or so one of the best. But there is a thing I just discussed with the guy they developed. So always there is a issue with when we pay the customer. As a customer, I don't want to lose any money before getting delivered.
Okay.
So
Okay. Thank you. So anybody else wants to, or you can even ask questions, because we have what I have just said at the very beginning. We have very knowledgeable panelists, so they can ask your query also if you have any query or any question.
Hello everyone, I think you can hear me. Basically, I'm personally not involved in any blockchain or crypto-based project.
Gotcha.
I'm an enthusiast. So what I have observed, like let's speak about Bitcoin first, because it's the most renowned blockchain product we have known so far. Like even if, as Misha Bhai just said, that right now it's in a bearish move, but if we consider last 10 years, it was in bull run. That's fine. But if we consider any currency, let's say talk about the USD, last 6 months it's been up by 10% plus minus, and the entire world is suffering. So if we consider, then do you really think that blockchain-based currencies have the potentiality to become a real currency? Because even like we can consider bull run, bear run all together. So if any currency is not stable, then how the countries and mass people are going to accept this or do transaction? I am not sure whether I can make my point clear to you.
No, I think it's clear. The point is clear. So your expectation is to have a currency that is stable and that is the same for everyone all the time. And I think reality tells us that this doesn't work, because there are central banks in the world, in different countries, different places, the European one, the Fed in America, and they have actually started out with this premise that they will ensure a stable currency. But then you see that there are a lot of fluctuations among these currencies in different jurisdictions, right? And we have to, when we go into crypto in general, or when we go into currency discussion, we have to come away from the idea that there is something we can totally rely on and we do not have to think about it. We have to consciously choose which currencies we're using for what purpose. Like, are we choosing Bitcoin to store value long term, to keep it somewhere and not touch it, and we just, hold it and we hope that over the generations, just like land, it will appreciate? Or are we going to say, okay, we want a certain currency that is very cheap to transact and very widely available, and that is tied, maybe you're maybe a computer scientist, So maybe you're interested in products that are made in the US, right? So you're interested to have something that is pegged to how things are paid in the US. Right now they're paid in US dollars, so you would want to find something that is correlated with this. So currency itself becomes a product, and the people who are issuing these currencies will become much more responsible for what they issue. And there is much more competition that the institutions and countries and foundations who issue currencies issue good currency, right? We want good currency. We want currency that we can borrow, lend, have some interest on, and that doesn't, like, you know, wipe out and have a lot of fluctuation and things like that. So we with this emergence of cryptocurrencies, so many, it's the first time in the history of mankind that we see real intensive competition between currencies, right? And we are at the very early onset of this whole thing. And we learn more and more. I mean, we had this collapse of the UST, the Terra stable coin, which was an algorithmic stable coin based on a certain principle that the founders thought might be interesting. I mean, others have thought of it before as well, and it was just like very well marketed, but it was inherently unstable, right? So they got wiped out from the market. A lot of people lost their money, but also a lot of people got educated. We all know now there's a high risk with algorithmic stable coins, and we have to understand how really they are backed. And so I think that's really an interesting thing. I mean, it's a very interesting thought, but we have to train our minds not to blindly rely on anything that's coming from the government or that is available in general is good. We have to assess it and take our own decision as individuals.
May I add a few words?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I completely agree with my previous panelist, Julian. I mean, if we see today the currencies, the traditional currencies that operate, they also fluctuate in value with respect to each other. I mean, sometimes USD, US dollar goes up against Great Britain pound, sometimes it goes up against Australian dollar, so on and so forth. But if we look at ourselves, most of the time today, we assess our wealth in terms of one particular currency on which we rely upon most, or we do most of the transactions. For example, if I possess a few hectares of land, a house, a few other things, I'll still calculate my wealth in terms of Dhaka. Or maybe US dollars, something of that sort. And then I will measure like whether the Dhaka is going up or down with respect to something, and whether I am feeling rich or I am feeling poor. We have to give some amount of time to come to a state where we can equally confidently say that, well, I measure my entire wealth using a particular digital currency. That could be an electronic version of Dhaka, or that could be Bitcoin, or that could be something else. And it will depend upon two factors. I mean, one factor is its usability, whether I can use Bitcoin to buy everyday things, that will determine. The second element is, of course, what Julian mentioned is good currency. I mean, who is issuing that? What is the confidence I have on that? Historically, we have more than 1,000 years of looking at fiat currency, whether it is Dhaka or US dollar or something else, or its previous versions. So we are now pretty confident in assessing our wealth by using any one of those paper currencies. So we also need to give some time. I mean, digital currency is here today for less than 5 years, or maybe just about 5 years. We have to give some time before it matures and wins our confidence. Over to you, please.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
thank you.
if I may add, I would like to add a couple of things on top of that, and I'll completely echo again everything that was just mentioned. Yeah, there are a couple of very interesting anecdotes that you can take from perhaps from some Latin American countries about the currency fluctuation in general. I was hearing a story in Argentina, I believe, where because of the immense fluctuation in their currency, there were people actually going to casinos and buying chips and keeping that as a store of value and then exchanging it for other goods later on without the need for any kind of crypto to even have any presence there. So you can see like how just currencies in general, central bank currencies in its fiat form can have so much volatility as well. Now, Julian also brought up the idea of stable coins. Yeah, I mean, it might be pegged to one or two currencies and it follows exactly where that currency trades. But at the same time, if you want to talk about protecting the store of wealth because of the high inflation we're seeing in many different places, a lot of these stable coins, and perhaps it's very important that you brought up Terra USD as well, which was a very important significant event that happened a few weeks ago, which definitely will reshape the industry in many ways. And also, like you mentioned, this will bring about changes and lead to better, I guess, well thought out like future stable coins, whether they're in the algorithmic space or asset backed. But just coming to the point, like a lot of these asset-backed stable coins, they're offering yields up to 6-7%, which is almost, you're kind of hedging your inflation right now. And a lot of people ask, how is that possible? Well, there are many different reasons here. Some of them are because AMMs and other ways that these are transacting have a lot of ARB that they're being able to correct. Those ARBs are leading to this new value creation, which leads to this extra yield that you're getting. So that's another point that I wanted to make. That getting educated on stablecoin coins is very important, but also parking your cash in stablecoins can, in effect, lead you to hedge inflation versus getting 1 or 2% or even less than many different savings accounts you're getting in different countries around the world.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now if we think about the adoption, like so far we have discussed about like government policies or like the confidence on this currency on those things. So you have any question? Yeah, sure.
I have a question about what Mr. Mishali said about adoption of cryptocurrency. He mentioned that if more people start using cryptocurrency, the percentage of illegal activity will decrease. But in reality, if one person was doing illegal activity and we just add another 9% to that group, the percentage will actually decrease. But will it actually change anything? And how, as a country, we are going to address that problem? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So let me just repeat it. You're saying that in Bangladesh, most of the usage for cryptocurrencies is illegal. So if you add more legal users, the amount is going down. But what was the last part of your question, sorry?
But it will not actually decrease the illegal activity. It will just increase the good.
No. So that's what I think the answer to that is once you have regulation and once you have oversight,
yes.
It's a lot easier to see where that illegal activity is happening, right? Right now, nobody knows who's trading crypto in Bangladesh, right?
Yes. Yes.
Only the people who are doing it within their small network, they know. Once it's regulated and the government has oversight of it, even though, let's say, transactions may go up by 1,000%, all of those transactions will be, if the government so decides, will be visible to the government. I'll be able to, as the government, call up an exchange and say, send me your list of transactions for the last 30 days. Then I'll be able to see who transacted. Now we're talking about centralized entities, right?
Yes.
Because that's the way that in countries where it's regulated, centralized exchanges or entities are the first layer where people jump onto crypto. Where I have to put my passport or NID, where every trade I do is recorded, right? So that's the first step. So what I'm trying to say is, if there are illegal activities, the government will have checks and balances, and there are services available from other companies already all over the world where illegal activities are red flagged, where those addresses or those persons are put on lists, and those lists are being used by even the US government to find criminals. When you hear these stories of, this person has been caught doing $1 billion of illegal transactions, $4 billion. How are they catching these people? They're catching them because these transactions are on the blockchain and ultimately can be traced. So to answer your question, more regulation, more oversight, and because the blockchain is immutable, all these things will decrease the amount of illegal activity.
But what if they use it in a decentralized system?
For that, even that is traceable these days. They have caught traders on decentralized systems who've moved money. Eventually, you're going to have to move it either to a centralized form, either on and off, right?
Okay.
At that point, likelihood is that you're going to get caught.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I want to throw another question that is for adoption. We need like trained people, right? If we think about crypto adoption in our country, definitely we are thinking that it will be a very big industry and we need a very good pool who will work there. And since I am in a university, I can see the like hype or the excitement of our fresh graduates. Like if we think about right now, they are most focused like a job or what they want to do. Like one area is data science and another area is blockchain or cryptocurrency. So my question will be, if we think about our fresh graduates, do they need any special kind of like knowledge or training to jump into this market? Like normally what we do in our, say if we think about computer science graduate, normally they know something about cryptography, like basic of cryptography. Definitely we can assume that like they have very good programming knowledge. And for our business graduate, in our countries, right now few universities, they have introduced fintech. So on top of that, do they need any other kind of, or how can they like get into this market?
Okay, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Valid?
Go ahead, Julian. Sorry.
All right.
Okay, I'll just. Sorry.
Should it? No,
I'll quickly
go for it. Go for it, please.
Thank you. Just being in the industry in the US, I'll just say what we have seen in the last couple of years. We have been seeing a huge influx of Wall Street traditional finance people coming into the crypto space. I mean, between 2021 and 2020, the amount of jobs that were created in the crypto space is incredible. It has stabilized a little bit, but just seeing the sheer amount of people that came into the space from very well-paid, good jobs that they had in traditional finance, and this was done not through any kind of formal education. They didn't need to go to any kind of like extra degrees to any university. It was sheerly out of their passion and interest in the space. And there's so much material out there in the web and on YouTube, on different forums. It's incredible. Like, I mean, if you're interested, you have the resources out there to become a semi-expert in many ways. I want to say, and but now, like as the industry is maturing and a lot more new technologies coming into the space, it is definitely becoming more competitive, and I do see a need for institutions to introduce formal courses on blockchain and cryptocurrency, and I think that will happen firstly in developed countries, and we're seeing it happen in developed countries like the US here, and I think that will also flow into other emerging markets, including Bangladesh.
Thank you, Walid. I just want to add a few things. I fully agree with Walid, of course, that there's a lot online. You can learn most of these things by yourself, but of course there has to be some incentive to learn it as well. And if you get a university degree for learning it, it will be more attractive and like more people will get into it for sure. Now, one thing that since there are also a lot of students, or mainly a lot of students in the audience, CSC and business graduates, and this is for both of them, really explicitly for both of them, there's one concept that I find a lot of people do not grasp, And the best way to grasp it is at the age of a student. And every single one, if you want to be successful in this whole space, you have to learn one thing, and that is asymmetric encryption. Public-private key. How does that play together? What means signing a message, signing information? What does that mean cryptographically? It's not that hard, right? You can go to the root of this, and once you do that, you will understand what a digital asset is. You will understand what smart contracts do, how you interact with them. And you can learn this as a business analyst 100%, or as a business graduate. I'm telling that in my company, the business analysts, you have to understand this before you design any kind of system, even outside of blockchain. So cryptography, number one. Specifically asymmetric cryptography, with all the beautiful concepts that come with it, like shared secret and all of these things, like how I can communicate in a private, manner, etc. That's number one. And then I think number two is to explore this whole market or this whole knowledge. What you need is incentives to learn it. So of course, again, university degree, like I mentioned. Now, since crypto is not legal, it's a bit hard in Bangladesh. Like the best thing I always say to people like who I want to train also in the company, I give them $200 in the form of crypto. I say, here, this is in your wallet, now increase it. There are all the projects, now go and figure out how you will do it. And then they have an incentive, a strong incentive, because they look at this value and like, where do I put it? And they do more research about it. Right? So if you can somehow like make it legal, even nowadays with those cheap chains like Phantom, and even, also like Avalanche is there, there's Polygon, they're very cheap. You can start with $10, right? Theoretically, you can start with 1,000 Dhaka in the form of a cryptocurrency, and you can consciously place this in different projects and do different trades and different things, and that will give you an incentive to learn everything about it. So that's like my second thing for you, maybe for UIU.
No, like a very, very effective advisors, I think. Okay, you want to add something?
No, I guess Arjit isn't here anymore. So, I think what practical experience is, I mean, as said by both panelists, practical experience is always the best experience. I do agree that, again, for people to enter the space, it's if we give them those kinds of incentives, like, a little bit of money and just to explore. How did I get into it myself? Same way. I invested, I had, an active, let's say, a reason not to lose, and that's why I learned. So yeah, that's it, I think.
So what I can...
So I'm back in the connection.
Okay, so you...
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, so can you follow the discussion? Do you want to add something?
Yes, I think, sorry about that, but it disconnected intermittently, but I followed the discussion. So one of the point, I think, with respect to building the skills, what is required, I think, use more of the platforms like Blockchain Olympiad, and whatever the use cases that win the competition, how we can take it to the production grade application and make it useful even if within a smaller boundary. That I think we need to start thinking about. And once we start thinking about that, we will be able to form a community of stakeholders, either people who are using it and the people who are developing it and the people who are managing it. And possibly with that will, something is happening, will also help others to learn through seeing and then quickly get into that adoption chain, so to say. So that's one point that I wanted to add here.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, we are almost at the end. So we can take, I think, 2 or 3 questions. Yeah, yes.
Good morning, sir. I'm Kajas from North South University. We actually do a lot of research in current years. So we always face the issue that many scientists from many countries actually asked us that the idea or research is not fitting the local market actually, because the crypto market is not actually legalized or the official. So how you can actually explain the issue from your expertise?
You have another option as well, and the other option is you can use the test nets of the big top 20 chains. You can do everything on a test net, and I was asking that before when I was looking at some of the presentations at the booths. I was asking them, like, do you have a prototype? How did you build your prototype? How do you interact with the blockchain, right? And then most of them said, yeah, we installed like something like Greenwich and all this kind of stuff. You use local hosts somehow, to simulate or emulate. You don't need to do that. There are test nets. All the big chains provide you a very nice test net. You can get some faucets, online faucets that will generate some tokens. They'll put them into your test net. You can start to build your stuff and play around with it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, sir. Sir, my question is, as we see the students, especially IT students and government are very much interested about blockchain, but what the industry thinking about, especially the bank sector, financial sector, because there is something they can do the false things in financial cases that blockchain immutable for reason. So what actually you see in industries, are they interested about blockchain accepting these concepts or implementing this concept?
So I think you are talking about Bangladeshi industries, right?
Yes, sir, yes.
Well, it's very hard to say anything about Bangladeshi industry because, as mentioned, it's like it's mostly technology use that the industry is interested in, like how to use the distributed ledger technology. But that's actually very boring. If you just use that without carrying digital assets, like without really having like these tokens, it's not as interesting. And the industry is very, very cautiously adopting it. It's very slow. Like the big institutions, banks and so on, they know it's coming and it's going to disrupt the way they operate, but they are going very, very slow about it. Now, the big thing, the big industry that is being generated in crypto, and that is also companies like Facet who are coming to Bangladesh, these are crypto native industries. Like they are born in the crypto space, and they're not like a bank now becoming crypto. They are or a stock exchange now becoming crypto. They are building an exchange on the green field. And so there is a very big industry, multi-billion-dollar industry on the globally, also like GSR, for example, represented by our friend Walid here on the panel, that he is born in this space and is now like very big, and some of them are coming to Bangladesh one after the other. Now it would be beautiful, of course, Professor, if we would have something in Bangladesh, if we would have businesses from Bangladesh being, getting on the world stage with this, and therefore you're basically educating your students on blockchain.
Yeah, definitely we are working on that. Okay, so we are almost end. Any other question? Okay, the final one. Okay.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdullah Muhammad Saqib. As crypto is not legal in Bangladesh, so there is no legal industry in crypto in Bangladesh. And we know that I am a student, and I know that why I am learning what I am learning, and I see a vision where I can apply this. If there is no legal institution or industries in Bangladesh where we do crypto things or that, so there is no bridge between the education of crypto, and I cannot apply this into any industries or just like that. Or if I want to apply this, I have to go abroad, and I think as a middle class family son, I cannot afford this. So there is no bridge between what I'm learning and what I want to implement. So do you think this will demotivate the students that they're learning cryptography about it, but they are not visually thinking about to implement it. So I think learning is a process of implementation. We are learning, but we cannot implement this. So does it hamper our learning process, or it demotivates the student? So what is the solution of that?
Uh, I'm not going to tell you to do anything illegal, of course, but when it comes to as a software engineer, I think there's a growing industry in Bangladesh of outsourced software engineering on platforms where you can find freelance work and at much higher, let's say, pay scales than are available in Bangladesh. So what I would say to you is, if you want to make that link, that's an option for you, that you learn the technology and the practical application, and your payment may come from initially internationally. And I am confident, though, that within the next few years, that adoption here and even regulation will come, because I think, as Julian mentioned, like if you look at the industry, at its height it was $2 trillion. Now these are all projects that are raising in the crypto-only space. So when we look at Bangladesh and the startup industry, one of the biggest challenges has always been raising foreign capital, right? I think crypto is a great way, and if we're not taking advantage of that, the startup industry here is really losing out on billions and billions of dollars of foreign investment that people are willing to put in these projects for, only an idea or a very early level pilot. So I think I'm confident that the adoption will increase, but you're young still. You can keep learning, and within 2 or 3 years, you'll be able to apply it in Bangladesh. But for the meantime, you can always look at freelancing.
Yeah, just to follow up on the back of that, there's many different areas in the industry that you can focus on, specialize on, and learn different aspects. For instance, just to close it off by saying, speaking a little bit about like what we do, our main core business, which is market making, and one of the analogies that I like to give here is that basically compared with, like, let's say Tesla as a car and Tesla trading as an equity. Now, when basically a Tesla car breaks down, or there's like no liquidity in the market, or sorry, when there's no liquidity in the market for Tesla stocks to trade, the Tesla car will be still running. But like when it comes to crypto market making, we are providing a very key function here. Like if there is no liquidity in the Ethereum space, if there's like very minimal liquidity in many different Ethereum related blockchains or even the Solana related applications, those applications themselves won't be able to run. So that's a very key differentiator for what we are providing. And I think market making in general is a very interesting and very important practice in not just in traditional market, but definitely in the crypto market. And I think there is a need to also look into this more to bring more efficiency into the Bangladesh market by introducing concepts as like efficient market making in general.
Yeah, and also to add what Walid just said, while working on crypto and implementing the use cases, I mean, it's not just crypto that someone is learning. It's a whole gamut of software engineering processes and tools that someone is learning to make it happen. So, and some of those are pretty sophisticated technology, like how you do your user experiences, how you manage transactions, and a whole gamut of other computer science algorithms that are pretty advanced in nature. So while one element is illegal, does not mean that whole education is going to be useless. In fact, just you set aside that one part and then the rest of the things are still applicable in the context of Bangladesh. And considering it's an emerging economy, I think there will be multitude of use cases that one will find where they can apply their learnings. And of course, I mean, if crypto becomes legal tender one day and the regulators find everything in the right place, I think it will be just fantastic. So I think learning crypto today does not necessarily mean that learning one particular thing. It's a whole gamut of computer science and engineering skills that one is learning, and there will be many places to apply those. Over to you, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, I think we can conclude here, but if I would like to summarize like what we have discussed today. So first of all, we have mentioned that in our country, working on blockchain is very much legal and very much welcome right now. And what we are expecting that within short time, like we will have some openness so that we can work also on crypto. And we would like to consider it as an asset. And the thing is, there is a fear among the government that it will increase the illegal like activities. But the thing is, since we will have a very good supervision, maybe there will be some illegal activities, but government can track down easily. So if government can track down, it will eventually decrease the illegal activities. So that's one kind of like observation that we have discussed here. And another thing is, if we think it as an asset in the long run, and if we think about investment in the long run, we will see that like there are more investors from our country. And definitely we have to educate our government and our general people. That is one thing that we must do. Otherwise, like, because if we cannot educate our general people, who will invest here? So this is not only from the responsibility from the government side, it's like kind of, we need a wholehearted effort here. Okay, and since we have some very good foreign companies, like they are coming here, and what Julian mentioned, like definitely we need some homegrown like companies. Okay, so if like some third world countries like from Africa, they can make a good progress, definitely we can make even better. Okay, and we have full confidence on our like industry, on our fresh graduates. Okay, so we can easily adopt the new technology, no doubt, and we have already seen that example, because there are many companies, they are working like they are solving the problems from foreign countries. Okay, so hopefully we will see a very good progress within a short period of time. And I would like to thank our panelists, and especially those who have joined from like remote places. And I think it's very early morning for a few of them, because it's New York, means like they started, like when they joined, I think it was maybe early dawn or something like that. And our audiences, so hopefully all you all enjoyed this session. And I would like to conclude the session here. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we appreciate your time. Walid and Arjit. Thank you.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম, সবাই একটু বসেন, আমাদের এখন কুইজ শুরু হবে। তার আগে আমরা একটা ছোট একটা অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েশন আমাদের স্পিকার্সদের জন্য। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ আওয়ার স্পিকার্স। সো আমি ডাকতে চাচ্ছি স্টেজে শারমিন আপু, দ্য সেক্রেটারি অফ Bcolbd, অ্যান্ড আশিক ভাই, চিফ অ্যাডভোকেসি অফিসার অফ Bcolbd। প্লিজ আমরা একটা জোরে করতালি পেতে পারি কি? সাগর ভাই দিচ্ছি আমি নিয়ে আসতেছি। সাগর ভাই, আমি এখনই দিচ্ছি আমার হাতে থাকুক। জুনায়েদ এদিকে আসুন, তিনোটাই দেন ভাই, তিনোটা দিবা, তিনোটা এটা রাখো এখানে, তিনোটা আটকায় দেন, তিনোটা ধরো, লক করা লাগবে না, ঠিক আছে? আপু বক্সটা একটু প্যাকেট করে পরে চার্জের কাছে দিয়ে দেবো, ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, সবাই একটু আমরা থাকি, আমাদের স্পিকারসদেরও আমি একটু রিকোয়েস্ট করে থাকি। আপনারা তো অনেক বড় একটা টাইম নিয়ে আপনি অনেক কিছু শিখলেন বা জানলেন, ঠিক আছে? আমি আমাদের স্পিকারের কাছে একটু রিকোয়েস্ট করব, আপনারা জাস্ট আপনাদের 3টা কোশ্চেন করতে দিব জাস্ট আমাদের অডিয়েন্সদের কাছে। আমাদের কাছেও কোশ্চেন আছে যেটা পপ কুইজের জন্য, বাট আপনারা যে কি শিখেছেন বা কি জেনেছেন আপনি যদি পারেন আপনাদের জন্য মানে কিছু অ্যামেজিং গুডিজ আছে। সো আমি চাই যে স্যার কুড ইউ প্লিজ আস্ক দেম আ কোশ্চেন।
So can it be a bit beyond what we discussed? Some basic knowledge. And it's like answered by one person or by raising the hand like multiple.
আমি আপনি একটু এখানে মাইক ছাড়াই বলতেছি, নো প্রবলেম। আমাদের গিফটসটা লিমিটেড, যে ফার্স্টে অ্যানসার করতে পারবে সেই উইনার হবে আর কি, ঠিক আছে? যে হু ইজ দ্য ফার্স্ট ওয়ান, এক্স্যাক্টলি দ্য ফার্স্ট ওয়ান পাবে হচ্ছে দ্য গিফটস আর কি। সো আপনারা রেডি থাকেন, আপনাদের একদম ওই যে বাজার রাউন্ড যেভাবে খেলি আমরা, বাজার রাউন্ডে প্রেস করা মানে আপনার হাত তোলাটা একই কথা হবে। সো আপনারা হচ্ছে যে বাজার রাউন্ডের মধ্যে হাত তুলবেন, আপনার যদি অ্যানসারটা কারেক্ট হয় তাহলে আপনারা ওই গুডিসটা পাবেন।
Okay.
All right, sir, you can start.
Can I create a crypto account without using the internet? Yes or no?
ওকে, আমি তাকে দেখছি তিনি ফার্স্টে হাত তুলেছে, সো কাইন্ডলি আপনি অ্যানসার করুন ভাইয়া।
Yes.
শুনতে পেরেছে ভাই, হি সেড ইয়েস।
He said yes.
Is this right, sir?
Why yes?
We can create we can create any blockchain wallet by MetaMask offline or Ether.js like node modules.
These are the tools, but why?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Is this close enough, sir, or we
No,
will?
it's he said yes. It's okay.
All right, আমরা আমাদের ফার্স্ট উইনারকে পেয়ে গেছি। ভাই আপনার নামটা একটু কাইন্ডলি বলবেন, আপনি আপনার টিম নেমটা একটু বলবেন।
Okay. My name is Nawab Khairuজ্জামান Mohammad Kibriya and team name Byte Chainer.
বাই চেনার। অল রাইট, ভাইয়া এখানে জুনায়েদ এখান থেকে একটা দাও, হেডফোন এখানে এনে দাও। হ্যাঁ ভাই, আপনি একটু যদি সামনে আসতেন আমাদের এখানে। আচ্ছা এখানে থাকুক, উইনার্সরা এখানে একটু দাঁড়াক, তারপর আমরা শেষে করব। স্টেজে এসে দাঁড়াও ভাইয়া, দাঁড়ান আপনি, নেক্সট কোয়েশ্চেন আমরা যাব। সালিকুল স্যার আপনি যদি একটু নেক্সট কোয়েশ্চেনটা করেন।
Okay, so since I'm a like university professor, we always have a tendency to set some difficult questions, okay? So I'm not sure whether it will be difficult or not. So it's a little bit technical, definitely. So think about symmetric encryption. I'm assuming that like you have some basic ideas. So we have two parties, A and B, and they're using symmetric encryption. So they are sharing definitely some key, right, for encryption. So if I have some message encrypted with that key, can I make sure or can I say guaranteedly like who has encrypted, A or B? Okay, here.
দ্য ফার্স্ট ওয়ান, আপনার নামটা এবং আপনার টিম নেমটা কাইন্ডলি বলবেন।
Abdullah Muhammad Sakib, Cyclomatic Silops. Yes, if I use the public key and private key.
No, I'm not saying public key, but I'm saying that I'm using symmetric encryption, symmetric key, and I have some message in encrypted format. So can I say, or can I say like I'm 100% sure it has been encrypted by A or encrypted by B? Is there any way, or can I say that?
No, I can't be 100% sure because some middle person can be change it, and by changing the some middle person can attack or 2D or some middle person can attack this, and by yes, it can be.
Think that there is no middle person. Just both. We have only two persons, A and B.
No, I cannot say that because there is no key, private or public key. By using only private asymmetric connection, private key and public key, I can be sure.
Let me rephrase the question. Okay, আচ্ছা আমি বাংলাতেই বলি। দুইটা আমার এখানে পার্টি আছে এ অ্যান্ড বি, আর তারা একটা মাত্র কি শেয়ার করে, সেম একটা কি, যেহেতু এটা সিমেট্রিক এনক্রিপশন। তো আমার কাছে যদি একটা এনক্রিপ্টেড মেসেজ আমি পাই যেটা ওই কি দিয়ে এনক্রিপ্টেড অবস্থায়, তাহলে আমি কি গ্যারান্টি দিয়ে বলতে পারবো যে এটা কি এনক্রিপশনটা এ করেছিল অথবা বি করেছিল?
না, যেহেতু তারা সেম কি শেয়ার করতেছে সেহেতু আমি বলতে পারবো না যে এ করছে নাকি বি করছে, যেহেতু দুইজনেরই সেম কি।
ওকে, কারেক্ট অ্যান্সার।
কংগ্রাচুলেশন ভাইয়া, আপনি স্টেজে চলে আসুন আমাদের সাথে।
All right, I'll try to give an easier one than that, I think, or a less technical one. Can somebody name one of the Ethereum layer 2 solutions that we mentioned today?
ও ভাইয়া, আপনি ফার্স্ট আপনার নামটা বলুন, আপনার
Okay, my name is Raghib Sharedoyan. I'm from Stack 2 Deep. Rollups. Rollups is one of the feature of layer 2.
Not the feature, I'm talking about the project, specific projects.
Specific projects. Ethereum.
Or specific tokens, or no, not tokens, but specific rollups, yes.
No, I can't say it right
আচ্ছা,
now.
নেক্সট কেউ, we can skip. নেক্সট কেউ এই কোশ্চেনে অ্যান্সার দিতে পারবে? এনিওয়ান? আচ্ছা, আপু আপনি হাত তুলেছেন।
What is?
Polygon.
Yeah, so.
Whoa!
Very well, I mean, so
Well,
the
you
conversation
mentioned it
Julian
today.
and I just were having up here is that Polygon is not technically a layer 2, right? They have acquired other layer 2s, but it's not technically a layer 2, but still in I will give it to you, so
Yes.
congratulations.
A round of applause. আপু আপনি কাইন্ডলি যদি সামনে আসতেন আর কি। আচ্ছা, তিনটা কোশ্চেন শেষ, আমি কিছু লেইমেস্ট কোশ্চেন করবো যাতে সবাই এই প্রাইজগুলো উপভোগ করতে পারে। সো আপনারা রেডি থাকুন। আচ্ছা, আপনার অ্যান্সার আপনাদের আসলে অলরেডি আপনার উইনার হয়ে গেছে, সো নেক্সট টাইম। আচ্ছা, একদম ইজি। হোয়াট ইজ ড্যাপ? হোয়াট ইজ দ্য ফুল ফর্ম অফ ড্যাপ? আচ্ছা ভাই হাত তুলেছেন।
DApp. Hello.
DApp.
DApp. So decentralized applications.
Exactly. Congratulations. We got another winner. ওকে ভাই, আপনি সামনে এসে পড়েন। অ্যানাদার ইজি মানে কোয়েশ্চেন, যে এটা একদম ইজিয়েস্ট কোয়েশ্চেন। আই হোপ মানে অনেকে যারা সাল মনে রাখে তারা হয়তো বা এই কোয়েশ্চেনের অ্যান্সারটা পারবে। ব্লকচেন ওয়াজ ইন্ট্রোডিউসড ইন হুইচ ইয়ার? ওই আপু, আচ্ছা আপু আপনি হাত তুলেছেন প্রথমে। Sure. Sure, sir, you can have this.
More advanced stuff, right? How many more left?
Around 4. All right. Yes, Apu?
2008.
Congratulations. This is the easiest one. All right, Apu. 3 more, exactly 3 more.
Okay, name 3 things how I can generate yield in decentral finance. Name 3 techniques how to generate yield. I think we mentioned around 4 or 5 of them.
Anyone? Sir, can we go to notes?
Name 2.
Name 1.
Yield is interest rate. How I can generate interest rate with my money in decentral finance. Name 2 things.
Aro clearly bujhe dilo, sir. So, sir, can you just give them a hint or anything like that?
How do I get interest? Sir? How can I get interest on my capital in general?
You can make them understand, help them understand to hit.
So how do banks generate interest?
Who was the first one, sir?
The borrow or lend.
Borrow or lend, come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there are other ones as well. So automated market making is the key one. So you take a trading fee when people trade from one currency to another. So that's key one, okay?
Yes,
And borrowing, lending, of course. Then there is something called staking in the network, right? You can give your tokens to in POS networks. That people should know that. So you can provide them for proof of stake staking. Yeah, there are many others,
yes.
But yeah, validation in POS, right? But yeah, there's another one is folding, for example. Folding is another one that is when you lend, borrow multiple times in different currencies. But anyway, next question. Sorry. You guys.
Two more left. We got just two more left.
Okay, so name the fastest blockchain in the world. With the white shirt and tie.
Fastest blockchain. Bitcoin.
No, incorrect. Anyone else? The fastest. Top three fastest. Or one of the top three, yeah. Go ahead, please. Correct, yeah. I would say, right? Yeah.
Congratulations, brother.
Okay. I knew you were going to say that.
He said Corda.
I think it's fair. Solana would have been my answer because I don't know that much, so I think it's the basic answer.
Okay, so what is 51% attack? Okay.
It's if 51% disagrees or disagrees in a particular আচ্ছা মানে হচ্ছে 51% যদি কোনো একটা পার্টিকুলার ইয়ে করতে চায় মানে কোনো অ্যাটাক বা চুরি বা দ্বিমত পোষণ করে কি যেমন একটা 100 জন লোক ছিল আমরা সবাই সাক্ষী ছিল এটা কেউ অস্বীকার করতে পারবে না কিন্তু যখন নাকি 51% লোক বলবে যে এটা না এটা হয় নাই যেমন লেনদেনটা হয় নাই অস্বীকার করলো তখন এটা 51% অ্যাটাক বলে কি এটা
ওকে we can consider.
কংগ্রাচুলেশন আমাদের উইনার্সদের আমরা পেয়ে গিয়েছি কাইন্ডলি গিফটসগুলো স্যার আপনারা যদি মনে না করেন আপনারা যে কোশ্চেন্সগুলো করেছেন সো আপনাদের ওই অনুযায়ী আমরা আপনাদের হাতে তাদের গিফটসগুলো দিতে যাচ্ছি আর কি থ্যাংক ইউ
আমি তাড়াতাড়ি
আমি আসে এদিকে দাও ফায়াজ উপরে এসে পড়ো
চলতে হবে You do yours first. I have to go. Yeah. So everyone is doing a photo or what?
Yes.
No, you just give the gift to the
question you asked. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
No, not bad. Oh, yeah. Great. Congratulations. Well, thank you for you attended nicely. You were very attentive. Very good. Didn't sleep. Congratulations. All right, guys. See you. Thank you so much. Professor, we'll be in touch. Yeah. Okay. You can also reach out. We can do something with your lab. Like, if you have
আমি দিচ্ছি
let me send you a thing. I'll send you a note. Okay, sure. My business partner.
আমি দিচ্ছি
Yes, no, that's good. But we could do some general projects. Okay.
We also
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. I'm very interested to do that. Very interested in supporting this. This is
box সব পেয়েছিস 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 স্যার আমি দিচ্ছি স্যার ঠিক আছে থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ আপনারা আপনাদের বুথে আবার চলে যেতে পারেন বুথটা এক্সিবিশনটা এখনো আছে যাদের এডুকেশন এখনো বাকি আছে তো তারা হচ্ছে যে তারা কল পাবেন অবশ্যই কাইন্ডলি জাস্ট আপনারা ফোনটা রিসিভ করেন